And I could not, for the life of me, play Fever. But I could play the hell out of Sophisticated Lady. A Latin version of Sophisticated Lady I could play the hell out of, but I could not play Bo B. 3 notes.
Welcome to episode 68 of the Bass Shed Podcast. My name is Ryan Roberts. Double bassists, stop by lemurmusic.com for everything you need for the double bass. Not only everything you need, probably a bunch of stuff you want also. Everything you want and need for the double bass can be found at lemurmusic.com. Stop by, check it out. Their collection of bows, basses, bass accessories, preamps, and more. lemurmusic.com. TsunamiCables.com, my favorite cables on the market. They come with a lifetime guarantee. No more buying 10-foot cables on the way to a gig. That's over, folks. TsunamiCables.com. Use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, for 10% off. You can also listen to episode 51 of the Bass Shed podcast, where I talk with the owner of Tsunami, Keith Sticks. TsunamiCables.com. TrickfishAmps.com. Stop by the website, use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, for 10% off. Check out their line of cabinets, check out their line of bass heads, and check out their preamps, the Minnow and the Trilobite. The Minnow is a single channel, the Trilobite is a dual channel and a B-box. Stop by TrickfishAmps.com, use the promo code TheBassShed, all one word, for 10% off. For regular listeners of the podcast, I'm sure you've heard me talk to guests that I have cut my debut record. It is not out yet, and I will be talking more about it when it is finally released. The record is titled Smile, after the Charlie Chaplin song. If you listen real close, you can hear Charlie Chaplin turning over in his grave. I think that happened somewhere around take 3. Of cutting his tune. I wrote an arrangement, nothing like I'm sure how he intended it. Sorry, Charlie. Sorry, dude. My bad. Anyways, I will have more information about that when it's released, and as it gets closer, you can stop by ryanrobertsbass.com. That's my personal website for more information and some like backstories on the tunes and kind of where a lot of the material came from. You can find the Bass Shed on Facebook at www.facebook.com/TheBassShed, on Twitter at Bass Shed, on Instagram at The Bass Shed. Follow the YouTube channel. There's some more stuff coming down the pike. And the URL for YouTube is still pretty complex. Yeah, it's like the alphabet and then the inverted alphabet. I think Arnold Schoenberg wrote my YouTube URL, you know. There's pitch class systems. There's a retrograde. I don't know what's happening to plug it, but you can get there by going to thebasshed.com, and there's a little orange banner there at the top. Click on that. That'll take you to the YouTube channel. I have decided to start doing general bass things on the YouTube, only because I saw a bass video the other day, a lessons guy, and I was watching it because I was checking out the videos for like production value, right? I was just checking them out, like to see what's going on. I'm getting into video editing and editing these things, and so I was just checking them out, and I'm like kind of reverse engineering it, like, okay, those are the transitions and blah blah blah. So I was watching this video, and I'm not going to talk about what video it was or who the bass teacher was, but he said something that was pretty appalling to me. And I believe it not to be true, and so I have to get in the game. That ignited the thing, I'm getting in the game, and I have to address this. Not specifically head on. I'm not going to confront the individual on YouTube or in a video, but I want to address what I think about the information there. I'm talking about how I think about it. That's all it is. Really, that's all you learn from a teacher is knowledge, and specifically how they think about it. So I'm going to be doing that. So check out YouTube, The Bass Shed on YouTube. Edna, where's the clicker? right, on the episode is bassist. Of course it's bassist, right? It's the Bass Shed podcast. Of course it's going to be a bassist. Double bassist and electric bassist Jahmal Nichols. I know Jahmal from his work with vocalist Gregory Porter. And if you have not checked out Gregory Porter, do yourself a solid and check out Gregory Porter. I know him because of his work there, and I briefly met him at the piano bar back in the day. Man, the piano bar comes up a lot on this podcast, and where I talk about meeting people and the hangs there. That place was pretty epic, and now it's I don't know what it is now. I don't know what happened to it. I don't go to that part of Hollywood anymore. So I don't know what happened, but the piano bar was the hang. That was the hang. He was playing with at Catalina's Jazz Club with Gregory and was hanging there one night, and I met him on the patio there. Yeah, and I'd always been curious to talk to him on the podcast since I met him, and I'm glad it finally worked out to have him on the show. He's going to talk about his upbringing in Missouri, St. Louis. He's going to talk about his family history and the family history that influenced his playing. Obviously, he's going to talk about early influences. He's going to talk about how he got the gig with Gregory. And he's also going to talk about his records. The one he has out already, titled Black Frequencies, which I have a link to at thebasshed.com/podcast/Jahmal Nichols. And the project he's working on. It kind of his process for all that. And I'm really captivated at listening to other musicians, whether they're bass player, band leaders, or maybe singer-songwriters, or whatever their approach to music is, whatever gets them in the game. I love hearing about process. And for me, like, I always find value in that. And even listening to other artists, like, I like hearing about comedians' process. I like hearing about actors' process. I like hearing about the artistic process. And Jahmal's going to speak to that. Something that doesn't happen regularly on the podcast is gear talk. Jahmal and I are going to talk gear for a little bit. That doesn't normally happen. I don't go there. I'm not typically that interested. I'm not going to say I'm not interested. But that's not like what I'm checking out first when I'm meeting a musician or I go to hear them play. Like, oh, what are they playing? I'm not that guy. But Jahmal and I do talk about some gear, and he's playing some really good gear, actually. It was a great time. It was a great time to have him on the podcast, and I look forward to hearing more about his latest record when that comes out. Jahmal also scored a documentary, which was really, really fascinating to me. And I'm into history. I don't know if I'm not going to say I'm a buff. I don't know where the line is between being interested in history and then being a history buff. I don't think I'm buff worthy, but I'm into history. And he did the score for this documentary about slavery in Florida. And he'll speak to that, and that's a captivating thing. I have not checked out the documentary yet, but it is on my list of things to do. He will speak to that. He'll talk about the title, his process there for the music, and where he went for that emotionally, and all those things. Again, great time with Jahmal Nichols. And so here it is. Here is my talk with double bassist and electric bassist, composer, producer, overall amazing human being. Jahmal Nichols.
I can hear you now.
Cool.
Yes, sir. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. How you doing?
I can't complain, man. Enjoy. Well, it's a cloudy day here in St. Louis, but I'm enjoying myself.
Is that where you're from originally?
Yes, born and raised.
Okay.
Yep.
Nice. I've never been.
Oh, it gets cold. You're in California, right?
Yeah, I'm in California.
Yeah, it gets cold, very humid. Allergy season is almost year round, really? For me at least.
Okay. What's the scene like there? What's the local scene like there?
Local scene, it's cool. I haven't really been on the scene as much because I'm always on the road.
Right.
And so it's like, all right. So, like last night I actually went out and hung out for a second at this one spot here. And everybody sounds great, from what I've heard.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the schedule been like? Are you still out with Gregory?
Yes, still out with Gregory. Not as busy as we normally are, because COVID and stuff is still
right.
It's still running rapid. But then also you got, what's going on in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Which is man. It's still early, so we don't know how that will affect in the future.
Of course. Did you guys have a bunch of European dates lined up?
We do have a bunch of stuff lined up for the summertime. So I think we were out for a month just in the States in February, which is what he normally does every year.
Okay. February,
just the States. Then from there, we go on to Europe and around the world. But this month, in March, we have there are no dates with Gregory this month.
Okay. How'd you get the gig with him?
Oh man. So I was doing sub work for the band for a couple of months, almost to a year, because the original bassist, Aaron James, he couldn't, I don't know what happened or, what the situation was, but he stepped down and then I just filled in, and the thing is I got the gig. Well, even just the sub gigs were given to me through recommendation from the drummer, Emmanuel Harold.
Yeah.
And Chip Crawford, the pianist in the band, which I'm very close with. I'm very close with those guys. So me and Emmanuel, we are from the same hometown. We grew up as kids playing together.
Okay.
Also, and then Chip he was my jazz theory instructor in North Carolina Central.
Oh,
University.
Crazy. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. It's a small world.
Small world, but then it's like this band, that's how, close knit that band is.
That's cool. And how long you been working with Gregory?
Ooh, I want to say close to 8 years now.
Really? I think I'm pretty sure I met you at the piano bar here in LA years and years ago after you guys got done at Catalina's.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
I think a mutual friend introduced me to you, and it was super quick in passing. Out there on the patio of the piano bar, but that was
that was a long time then.
Yeah. I know, man. Yeah, that was. I don't even remember when that was. That must have been like 2013, 2014.
Ooh. Okay, that may have been like right when I was joining the band. Oh, I was feeling it. Maybe I can't even remember what I did.
Yeah, I know. It's all a blur, man. After last year, last year didn't exist, so now the whole thing's off.
Exactly.
I can't calculate any kind of time situation.
Right. Now as soon as you see an old picture pops up in the timeline, and then no one has on a mask, you're like, wait a minute, what was this?
Right, yeah, what happened? And then you got a couple records out yourself, correct?
Yes, sir. I have two records on myself.
Good. Now,
the first one? Oh, go ahead. Good. I'm sorry.
What's the vibe? What can listeners expect to hear?
The first one is Two Worlds, One Mind. That was my debut, first record that it came out. I want to say 2016. I want to say 2014, 15, one of those. I can't remember.
Okay. Should I Google it for you right now?
Yeah, I'm actually in front of my computer now.
Yeah. Google yourself.
I dropped my phone. Sorry about that. But yeah, so it's that was my first debut record, and that I'm playing a little bit more upright bass on there.
Okay.
Bridging both the electric and the upright together.
Yeah.
In a way, that makes it listenable for people,
Yeah.
And then my second record that came out actually during the pandemic was Black Frequencies.
Okay. Yeah. Was the composing for that because there's nothing else to do?
Oh no. Actually,
or were you purposing on doing a record?
I was purposely doing a record.
Okay.
But just the pandemic just happened. It was like, really? Do I want to wait a whole another year? And so I did that. I took my time with it. So it with Gregory's schedule, touring with him, it was like 225 plus dates a year.
Wow.
And so it's like, okay, I got in where I could. I was doing stuff I would do like tracks in Sardinia, Italy, and then do another track in Paris, and then somewhere else. And it's like, okay, I'm trying to glue this together, and I'm doing it all on the road.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, okay, coming up with the concept, sending files off to whoever's going to play on it and everything else. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take my time with this. And it was, I would say, at least 4 years it took me to get it out, to get it finished, because it's so busy, and then when you come home, you want to try to relax your mind and relax, so it's like, but there's no time, it's like, okay, so I just got it in whenever I could. So we had 2 or 3 off days in a row. I would get up on the road in a hotel, I got my portable studio with me, and I'm just recording. I'm trying to think of stuff to come up with ideas, and feeding off my producer from that record at the time, feeding back and forth, a lot of FaceTime, a lot of texting, a lot of emails and stuff like that. So yeah.
What was he bringing to the table? Was he bringing some influences? Like, was he having you check out some new music that would kind of push you in another direction compositionally?
Well, he helped write a lot of stuff too.
Okay.
Another close friend of mine, Corey James, producer, and he's done a lot of work for a lot of different artists, Billboard artists and everything.
Okay.
He brought a different sound than what I have for myself personally.
Yeah.
That I really love. And I mean, we actually, it's funny thing, we actually started playing bass the exact same day.
Oh wow. Wow.
Yeah. So
hold on, you remember the day? You remember the day? Really?
Yeah. Yeah. September, if I'm not mistaken, it's September 8th, either September 8th or 9th, 1994.
Oh man. That's crazy. I remember I started playing around whenever the Grammys are. That's all I remember is like, I remember the Grammys being on. That's it. So whenever that is, like, it's kind of somewhere, but knowing the day, that's
man, I have one of those crazy memories where, like, one time, like, even if I'm reading the chart, if I've read it once, I have it memorized.
Really? The photogenic thing?
Yeah. So it's like, because a lot of times on the road, the guys in the band would ask, "Oh, Ma, were we here before?" And I was like, "Yeah, this is where this." Yeah, remember I fell down the steps.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious.
Yeah, man.
Dude, that actually, so like the tour manager must love you, because the tour manager can probably lean on you for most things.
Well, the thing is, when we're in Europe, the band is the tour manager. We handle ourselves. Okay. Yeah. So, we've done it long enough to know what to do and what not to do.
Right. Is where's Gregory from? I remember when he hit the scene, but I don't know that much about him.
Okay, he's from Bakersfield, California.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
I
wouldn't have thought that at all.
Everybody says from California. They say, "Where is he from?" I'm Bakersfield, California. They say, "Whoa."
Yeah.
Well, all right.
Exactly. Like, I've been through there a few times. I don't think of jazz by any means.
Right.
I don't associate it with his sound at all. That's
yeah, different. And then but I think he went to college at San Diego State.
Okay.
And then a lot of stuff he did in New York also. Living in Brooklyn and stuff.
Yeah. So you started playing the bass September 8th. Did you start on electric or upright?
I actually, let me take that back to a couple of months. Prior to me getting into high school in 94, I took a summer program where the teacher, Miss Burke, just introduced me to the upright briefly for a month.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, cool. But I actually, man, what was it? When once school started the semester, I switched to electric
Okay.
because we didn't have um, any uprights available
Yeah.
in the St. Louis public school system, and so it was only one upright in the whole building, and it was already being used by this young lady who was playing in the orchestra.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, so what definitely wasn't set up for jazz or anything. I didn't even try to become a jazz bassist. I started on electric. I just want to learn how to play bass.
Yeah.
And my teacher, who was a guitar teacher, who was a guitarist, he he started me off. Because I was like, okay, I'm gonna play guitar. He's like, there's no more guitars. All we have is bass. I was like, okay, cool. I'll play bass. And my dad is a bassist also. He's a bass player.
Okay.
And so, but he showed me stuff subconsciously. He didn't think, not formally just sit me down. No, this is the E, A, D, G string. No, I would just sit and watch him play.
Yeah.
And listen to what he's doing and watching his actions and how he's playing a C from here to here. It's like, oh, wow. Okay. Wow. He's playing with emotions. Wow. Okay. And I mean, that first year of me playing, like I could barely play. Well, let me not jump that far. My teacher, who was also the jazz band director, the bassist that was in the band then dropped out of school. Okay. So he needed a bass. He wanted a bass player. So he saw two young kids, me and my friend Corey James.
Yeah.
And he said, "You guys want to join the jazz band?"
All right.
Okay, sure.
Yeah,
why not?
Yeah, right.
Okay, and so he threw us into the fire.
Okay.
Like,
so could you read
2 months?
At this point, could you read already? Or this is where you worked it out?
Not good. Not good enough. Not like good to just do. So 2 months after just picking up a bass, he threw us into a jazz band, into a big band. A big band. It's like, dude, okay. And the first 4 songs, I think it was, I can't remember if it's Sammy Nestico's arrangement of Summertime or Neil Heft. I can't remember, but it had a solo section in it that was very hard. Yeah. Then Sophisticated Lady, Fever, and something else, like Little Darling or something like that.
Okay.
And I could not, for the life of me, play Fever.
Really?
But I could play the hell out of Sophisticated Lady. A Latin version of Sophisticated Lady I could play the hell out of, but I could not play
the stock bass line, right? Yeah, the stock bass line.
3 notes.
That's hilarious.
3 to 4 notes. I could not play it. But
what was the hang up there?
I don't know. I was just like, I don't know why I cannot play this song. But then and then the key changes was throwing me off. I'm like, overload. But it's just a chromatic up. So it's like, how did you not know?
That's hilarious.
For 3 months. 3 months of playing. I'm freaked out.
Wow.
But then I could play Sophisticated Lady as a Latin.
Yeah.
And as many changes as that with a bridge and everything. I was like, E flat major, G, F, E flat. It's like, dude, you backwards.
That's hilarious. Can we just talk about how high school arrangement of Fever might potentially suck? This is a big band. Like, just that song instrumentally, like, oh my gosh. And then having a high school band.
Man, having it in high school, but back then it was like, okay, because they were going to scratch the whole key change thing because I couldn't get it. And that was like the second page of the song. It was like, dude, let me just learn how to do this. And I just buckled down and just try and figured it out as best as I could.
That's hilarious. You working? You got some things?
Right now I am working. I'm getting a concept for this next record. Now I have an idea for the title of the album. So I'm just trying to hammer out the concepts now. Because I had a lot of songs left over from Black Frequencies that I didn't even use. Okay. And so I'm going to try to incorporate this now with it's going to be myself. My name's Jahmal Nichols, but the band is called Black Frequencies now.
Okay.
And so I'm just trying to come up with
that's what your band is going to be named, but the last record from 2020, that was the album name. Okay.
Yeah, that was the album name. Yeah.
Cool.
So doing a little swap, switch,
yeah.
there, or not even a switch, but an addition to the name.
Okay.
So, Okay. To keep that going.
What was the concept for the record, Black Frequencies?
Oh man, it was just basically like a vibe or an experience that I have gone through personally through my life, childhood, listening to the radio, that nostalgic moments when, you might eat a sandwich and it may take you back to when you were 10 or 12 years old. It's like where you didn't really have a care in the world, but everything just felt great. That's what this album for me is. It's like one of those feel good albums.
Okay.
Nobody not trying to out compose or trying to outplay or do all these chops or anything like that. Just want it to feel good to the listener to myself.
Yeah. Being that your dad's a bass player, what kind of music was around the house growing up? Was your dad a jazz player?
No, he was R&B gospel.
Okay.
R&B gospel. So his thing was James Jamerson.
Of course.
Still to this day, James Jamerson.
Good.
James Jamerson. And I mean, I would sit there and I would watch him practice songs like Don't Mess with Bill, anything Motown. Motown. It's like, wow. I'm just listening to him. Like, I remember him transcribing note for note, like For Once in My Life. And
it's a good one.
Darling, Darling Dear? Is that it? I can't remember. Darling something. Yeah, he all those complex Jamerson lines, even on the What's Going On album, Save the Children.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, he just flowed through it. I was like, golly, like note for note, because my dad, he doesn't read music.
Okay.
He plays by ear.
Yeah.
And so self-taught and everything else. So, but he just like, it just floored me how he just was able to just flow through the music like that. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Wow, okay. So but then like while he was doing that, he brought me a drum pad and some sticks. And so I would just beat on a drum pad while he's practicing. So I'm just keeping time, like, okay. Until I tore up the chair. Like it was one of those band old school drum pads where they didn't have wood at the bottom. So it was just rubber. It was like a little bit of rubber pad or something like that. And so I was hitting a chair that he had, which was a leather chair. And I ended up busting the chair open. He said, okay, I'm going to put a weight up under this because you're tearing up my stuff.
Yeah.
But coming up, my dad, he instilled James Jamerson, Marcus Miller, Nathan East.
Sure.
And I remember he introduced me to Victor Wooten in 94, 95.
Okay.
He goes that's when Big came up with the classical stuff on the
That
VHS.
was Show of Hands, right?
Exactly. So I was just like, whoa.
Yeah.
I was, I'm like, I cannot play like that, but okay. But it was just fascinating to see that stuff, and for him to introduce that to me at a young age, it was very instrumental into who I am today as a bassist.
Sure. So your dad's into Marcus, your dad's into Victor. He introduces you to these slap guys. Is that a heavy part of your playing? And did you go all the way back to Larry Graham and really dig into some of those old lines?
Oh yeah, definitely. I was just listening to a lot of stuff back then. Like I said, started off with Jamerson. And then I think I tripped up and found introduced to Jamerson and Ray Brown, Christian McBride, Paul Chambers. And then I tripped up and found out who Ron Carter was. And I was like, oh, whoa, okay, that was another, mind-blowing experience. All those guys were mind-blowing experience. When you first hear them, it's like, wow. And then I heard Stanley. And I was like, whoa, and it really blew my mind. And so, at a young age, it's 14, 15, you got James Jamerson, Victor Wooten, Marcus Miller, Stanley Clark, Ray Brown, Paul Chambers, Ron Carter, Christian McBride, so many cats, Larry Graham, all Lewis Johnson, and it's like whoa, and it's like, and that's when I started listening to the radio more. Well, I've always listened to the radio, but understanding who were on those recordings
Right.
that I was listening to. So it's like, okay, if I hear Motown, it's 9 times out of 10 it's going to be Jameson.
Yeah.
So okay, and then you hear Sanborn, which is a St. Louis native.
Oh, really?
You like, okay, Earl, all that Chicago song, Marcus Miller. Wow. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Wow. Okay. And then it's like, and then you hear Sly. Then I was here Sly and the Family Stone on the radio, and I'm like, that's Larry Graham. Yeah. So then I'm like, okay, and then I'm just getting all these artists, and so I just put them in a melting pot for myself. Mm-hmm. Oh, hold on one second.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry. I don't know why my phone is. Hold on. Okay, send voicemail. There you go. Sorry about that. And so just what is it? I forgot what I was saying. It broke my train of thought. I hate
You're hearing all these guys, and they kind of they're all working together.
Right, and I put them in a melting pot and develop who I am.
Yeah.
My sound, my own personal sound, because I jump from electric and upright.
Sure.
And a lot of cats don't have that ability because a lot of times you can tell when a cat plays upright if he plays electric, or if a cat plays vice versa. Mm-hmm. And so I practice to where it'll be hard for somebody to tell that I do both.
So you do the other one, right?
Yeah. So if you hear me on the upright, you're like, oh man, he's an upright player. But and the crazy part about it, I've never really formally had a formal teacher to sit down with me and tell me, no, your thumb position, your technique is all off, because my technique is all off on the upright and electric a little bit too. It's like, yeah, how did you get that? It just feels right, but it works for me.
Okay, so where did it come from? Are you emulating like videos you would see? Okay.
See, back then there were no YouTube was just coming out.
Yeah.
So
remember those old DCI videos? It was like rent from the music store.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not buy, but rent.
Yeah. You could rent from the music store. Yeah. No one wanted to pay $20 for the damn thing. You'll rent it for like $3 and bring it back to your next lesson or whatever it is.
Exactly. You burn it. You burn it.
Right.
You would dub it. Get the other VHS and put it on the paper. And I'm good. I got it for $3.
Right. Exactly.
And so with that, I would just sit and I would watch, like, especially back then, Laserdisc was very popular.
Oh wow! And so that was a short-lived thing. That only lasted like maybe 3 or 4 years, right?
It was. And so a friend of mine, he had a Laserdisc of like this old Oscar Peterson record or concert. And I would just sit there and I would watch Ray Brown, like how he would, like, especially when they played up tempo, how his technique would change with just his right hand.
Yeah.
Where it go from here to here.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Like especially when you're going fast. But it's like, yeah, man. So I've watched a lot. I listened a lot more than I watched. So I was like, okay, I've got to figure this out, because it's like CDs were, popular, and so I would just get CDs and I would just try to emulate what the bass player is doing, like from gospel to R&B to jazz to Latin to whatever.
Yeah. Pop,
rock, all that stuff like that. I was like, okay, I got to learn. I just want to learn all styles to be a chameleon so I can move within,
Was playing in the high school jazz band kind of the introduction to jazz? Is that how you, okay. And then that's when you started getting into Ray and following all those bass players. Okay.
Yeah. So I with the jazz band, with the big band, we did big band and we had a small combo.
Okay.
Like almost like a quintet.
Yeah.
And so we would do songs like Memphis Underground and Chameleon and Children's World. It was like, okay, gotcha. It introduced me to something that I wasn't used to doing. Sure. Or used to even hearing. And so like with that, it introduced me to the Count Basie band and Duke Ellington Orchestra, Charles Mingus big band, Glenn Miller?
Glenn Miller.
Yes. Glenn Miller, all that stuff, that Pennsylvania 65,000, old 1917 stuff.
Yeah. Chattanooga Choo Choo.
Chattanooga Choo Choo. Chattanooga Choo Choo. You know, all.
Yeah,
so all
man.
of that, you know, and I developed a love for playing with vocalists years later.
Okay.
Like playing with singers, and playing behind singers to me is like one of the best art forms of bass playing. Mm-hmm. Because, and the reason why I say that, because underneath them, 9 times out of 10, you're playing you're playing a melody, a counter melody to them.
Sure.
And so but you have to make that bass line sing.
Right.
You know, you listen, if you go back and listen to all the, you know, like I said, Jameson, Marcus Miller.
Yeah.
All those guys, you listen to what they're playing under what the singer's doing, is they're singing.
Yeah.
You know, so I was like, man, that was like a concept for me that even to this day, I still follow.
Okay. Besides Jameson and Miller, where some guys do you really kind of go to check in with that concept and, like, you know, get some education from that concept? Because there's dudes like, you know, Chuck Rainey, he's doing something different. His thing doesn't have the same type of lyricism as, you know, like basically all the soul guys from Memphis. You know, Tommy Cogbill had it. Doug Dunn had it in a way, but not as chopsy. You know, he was leaving a lot more space.
Exactly. You took the name right out of my mouth when you said Chuck Rainey.
Yeah.
Chuck, he's another guy, and it's like, dude, it's like, because when you go back and listen to like all the old Aretha Franklin stuff, you know how him and Bernard Purdy on countless records just locked.
Yeah.
And it's like, dude, like do you hear the language? Oh, and another guy, Willie Weeks.
Oh yeah.
Willie Weeks. Oh man, the stuff he did with Donnie and everybody, man, it's the list is so long with that. I'm trying to think who else.
Man, you know, I was actually I was doing a deep dive on Chuck Rainey, and I was going through all these Donnie records he was on, and Donnie actually wrote a lot of those bass lines. Yeah. I didn't know that. I thought like Chuck had come up with them. Mm-hmm. But Donnie actually composed those.
Yeah.
That was like, okay.
Yeah. No, Donnie was a bad boy.
Yeah. Agreed.
Bad boy. It's like, dude, it was like some of those bass lines, it was like, okay. Like, what's that? Sack Full of Dreams. Mm-hmm. That's one of my favorite songs that he did. And the bass line it's so melodic. It's stupid how melodic. And Willie Weeks played the hell out of it. I was like, man, wow.
When you go out and do tours with Gregory, is it a small group of 3 or 4 of you? How big's the band?
The band is with Gregory, it's a 6-piece.
Okay.
So it's bass, drums, saxophone, piano, and organ, B3.
Oh wow. Is the organ player playing pedals too? Is he up in your real estate?
He doesn't get in my way. He doesn't get in my way. He plays the bass pedals when it's just him, you know, the section where he's just playing by himself or something like that. Like, he doesn't get in the way of me at all. So that's right. I love that. I start vibing folks out like, don't play the bass pedals, dude.
Right. Yeah. Well, I was curious because I was curious about how much freedom there is for you to like really kind of create a duet with Gregory and really kind of play in this lyrical style.
Well,
with a band of that size, because
the thing is,
Oregon, there's a lot of people, a lot of cooks in the kitchen there.
Yeah, but the thing is, I'm 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be the one that minds the store and keeps it simple. but you know, because everybody else can go do whatever they're going to do, but I'm just I'm going to hold that pulse right there. And it's like, you know, you got songs like On My Way to Harlem where the bass line don't go boo boo bing ding ding, and then everybody doing 16th and throwing everywhere substitutions. It's like, okay, I'm gonna stay right here just so he can have that blanket to lay down on. You know? Right?
Yeah. Does he give a lot of?
But it all makes sense.
Sure.
You know, and with that gig, every night is different.
Okay.
He sings it differently every night. So, you know, and Chip, he may play something totally left field, and Emmanuel, they'll feed off of each other, and I'm just like, okay, I'm listening to everybody. I'm like, I pretty much have the best seat in the house because I'm locking it in,
Right.
making it, helping make it make sense.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's good to hear that he brings a freshness to it every night, because I mean, what was it, 225 dates? How many dates did you say? Like that can easily just like show up, paint by numbers, and it could be not inspired.
Exactly. And the thing is, like, that's how he picks the songs too. Like, we don't go out there with a set list. He he just calls it off the top of his head. So you got 5, 6 records with repertoire, and not to mention the jazz standards that he knows also. So it's we did Royal Albert Hall in London, and with a 75-piece orchestra behind us.
That's
and
cool.
So out of the blue, there was a set list for that, but then he went off the set list. It was like, "You send me." He started singing "You Send Me."
Okay.
It's like, okay, no, let's do it. And so we just jumped into it. That's how we get down.
What's your process to keep that much material fresh? Because six records worth of tunes, you're looking at like what, 70 songs maybe,
something like that.
So you check in with these records to just review them every so often, just so you don't lose them, or you've been on the gig so long they're all in there somewhere.
They're all in there.
Yeah, okay.
It's like you're just pulling up in a hard drive. It's like, okay, all right, and then sometimes you have to look around. You're like, C minor. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
But
you have the photographic memory, so you're good. Everybody's asking you for changes. Where's the bridge go? Where's the bridge go?
It's like, I remember one show in Lyon, France. He had called a song, "Lonesome Lover," that Abby Lincoln did.
Okay.
And Abby Lincoln and Max Roach. And we all looked, because we hadn't played it in like 3 years.
Yeah.
And it was like, how did this? Oh, okay. And then we got into it. It was like, okay, now
okay. That's a lot of
because sometimes he'll throw those audibles. It's like you never know how he's feeling or how he's thinking while he's up there, because he's going off of the energy that the crowd is giving him. And so, like, we literally won't know the next song until it's time to play it. And it's like, okay. And so now with the All Rise record and the Still Rising record, I did a lot of doubling with the electric and upright.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, okay, so he'll call a song,
right,
and it's like, okay, I'm playing upright, but then it's like we got to go right into it. It's like, oh shit, I got to play electric now. I got to give me a second, and it's like, okay, but then I was like, okay, I had to get smart and think about it. I was like, okay, let me go ahead and get an AV switch.
Sure.
Get this thing together.
Yeah, I play with a trumpet player singer that does the same thing. Like, he'll just call tunes, and we'll go from, playing a jazz thing where's I need the electric next, and I had to get that switch over. I had to be dialed,
exactly.
Like boom, boom. Yeah. What are you playing? What's your AB switch?
Oh, the EBS Stanley Clark.
Okay.
Which I actually love. I tried it out for a month last month.
Oh,
and this thing is
I've
amazing.
seen that. Yeah.
It's amazing. Because you can actually plug, like, if you're using a mic on your bass, you can actually plug the mic into here.
Oh, really?
And run it through the amp, and you can dial out those frequencies that feedback and everything else. You can dial them out. It's crazy.
So you can do either A, B, or can you do them at the same time too? So you can run like a line and a mic. Oh, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Cool. Do you run a mic on your bass?
Yes, I do. I have the Nadine ear trumpet lab.
Okay. I don't think I'm not hip to that one. How is that? Is it kind of similar to the DPA?
No, way better. To me, it's way better than a DPA.
Okay.
So comes in this very hefty.
It's like an ammo can. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
right. Damn near. And it's like, and it's basically this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So.
And then where does it mount on your bass? Do you have the goose stick on one of the lower bouts?
No, this goes in between the D and the A string.
Okay.
So as you can see, it's a little groove right there on these things.
Oh, I see
so
it.
this goes right in between the D and the A string, and this goes on the. You can strap this to the what is that piece called? The tailpiece.
Yeah. Okay. Like no feedback and like all those issues you could normally.
No, I haven't had any issues, and I've used it for like home recordings. Like if I'm recording upright for somebody that needs upright done, it has a great sound. I use this and like a condenser just to get the finger sound.
Sure.
But this gives I put this on the body, sounds so amazing.
Okay, and then what are you playing? What's your electric rig? I
have the Eich rig stuff. I have the T1000 head, and I use the 1012S cabs.
Okay.
Yeah, I have two of those. The bass that I have the my signature model, Anaconda bass.
Okay, we're going to talk about this. Did you help design it?
Yeah, we came up with the idea with Andrew over at Anaconda Bass.
Okay.
And I was like, and I've always wanted this kind of bass. It's a jazz style bass. That's like the only style bass that I love to play.
Okay.
And I think that's my sound. So when I was a kid, my dad had a PV Dynabass 4-string. With the white body, rosewood fretboard, and gold hardware. So just the white body basses with the gold hardware has always been there in my brain. Like I always wanted a bass like this, and I'm like, I want this bass. I want a bass like this. So I sat down with Andrew, and then as I got older, I started falling in love with the black inlays. Not black, but block inlays.
Right. No, I like
the pearl inlay. Any type of block inlays. It's like
the jazz basses from the 70s. Love that.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. I have a 73 jazz that has the black inlays, and I actually gutted that out and put Bartolini electronics, the 2-band Bartolini preamp in it, the Bartolini B-axis pickups, and then I lucked up and found a brand new, still in the package, badass bridge.
Oh, nice.
Right. It was just sitting, dude, the not record store, but the music store sold it to me for like $60.
Yeah.
And I was like, yeah, I'll take that. And so I mutated this thing, and it's killing. It's killing.
Nice.
But for my signature bass, I was like, man, I asked him, I said, man, my dream bass if I was to do a signature bass, I would like a white jazz bass, 5-string, gold hardware, maple fretboard and neck, and pearl inlays.
Yeah, the blocks.
And pearl block inlays. And so he was like, he said, "Oh, really?" And then he sent me a prototype picture. He said, "Something like this?" I said, "Hell yeah, that's it." He said, "Well, we can do this."
Okay.
And so he took it and took the idea and brought it to fruition. He asked me what electronics that I want, so I have an endorsement with Bartolini, and so I have the Bartolini B-axis pickups in there, which is those are the Bartolinis that actually show the pole pieces.
Okay,
and they're at the angle, the angle, and I have a Bartolini 3-band preamp in there.
Okay.
So and then the scale length is 34.5.
Okay, and a half.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Now you're just getting. Come on. Pick a lane, Jahmal.
I said 34.5. Just get that B string a little bit more resonance.
Yeah. No, but that's actually I like the idea of that, because you could easily like run if it sounds too clear, if there's too much tension on the beat, it sounds too clear, and then it doesn't sit in a mix well. Yep, so like the 34 is going to give the tension, but like have it kind of work well with everybody else in a mix. Sir. I like that.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I like that. And the bass actually, it sounds great on recording. So like I didn't do anything on because I just got the bass last year, and so I did Gregory's new record, Still Rising. That came out late last year. or was it was either late last year or early this year. And I'm playing electric on playing that bass on two of those songs.
Okay. Is this kind of a departure in sound for him on his latest record? Is he still very much, I've heard a little bit of him. I haven't checked him out a ton, but it's got this very kind of Johnny Hartman quality to it.
Right. It's evolving. He's constantly evolving. And so it's like, he's not, everybody's, if you followed him from the beginning, his stuff was more so just pure and raw.
Right. That's what I think of when I think of him.
Right. Right. And so the live shows are still pure and raw to the fullest. Recording now it could get, produce more, more time to produce and come up with ideas and stuff like that. Where in the back in the day, it was more so like, we're going to get this done maybe 2 or 3 takes.
Oh, wow. Well, pretty kind of old school.
Yeah. But now it's like, he'll take his time and then and we'll come up with different ideas and bounce them off of each other.
Do you guys write together in the studio, or does he come, or does somebody in the band show up with charts for you guys, and then you do a day of rhythm section, and then normally, just that multi-tracking process? Right.
Normally, Chip and Gregory get together.
Okay.
For about maybe 45 minutes per song. It's just like, okay, he'll go in and sit Chip at the piano, and Chip will come up with a skeleton.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay,
that's not a lot of time.
Like 45. Exactly. So it's like,
that's pretty quick.
But it's like, but they've been together for years, 20, close to 20, maybe over 20 years.
Really?
Now, close to 20 years. And so it's like, they dance well together.
Right.
And so it's like, wow, okay. It's like, okay. And then what we'll do is after about 45 minutes to an hour, we'll come in, the rest of the band will come in, and Chip will show us the idea. So this is the concept. And it's like, he's not telling me what bass lines to play or anything like this. So it's like, we all have creative control.
That's cool.
Unless he has a particular sound in his head that he's hearing.
Right.
It's like, I want you to do this instead of that. Okay, no problem.
Sure.
Stuff.
Yeah. Sure. Well, that's cool. Excuse me. How much of that process influenced your writing on your records?
Man, I'm glad you said that. So the title track to Black Frequencies, I actually did. When we were recording in Paris, from off of Gregory's not the last record, but the record before, called All Rise. And it's just, we sat in the studio all day, and for some reason, like, I don't know what it was that triggered me to write this song. And I actually wrote Black Frequencies, my song, as a jazz ballad.
Okay.
And it has an odd bar form, but you would never, it doesn't feel like it's an odd bar form.
Right.
And so normally I would just leave my bass and stuff at the studio and then just go back to my hotel room and go to sleep or eat and just chill out and forget about music for the day. But
sure.
I couldn't get this chord progression and the song out of my head.
Okay.
And I'm like, man, and it came from the influence of what we were doing earlier that day in the studio. Okay. And it was like, it's so contrast to what we were recording. It's not even nowhere near close to what we were recording. But it was like, I just couldn't stop hearing this. I think it was a lick or something that I had played on a take, and it just stuck with me. And I was like, okay, let me just go ahead and just put this down. And I put it down and I heard it back and I'm like, okay, this is a jazz ballad, like a straight up ballad, but I didn't want it to be that.
Right.
And so I was like, okay, I sped it up. My producer, Corey James, at the time, it was like, I told him, I said, man, I want to speed it up, but then I wanted to give it like a backbeat some kind of way. Somewhere where, it's a grooving song instead of it being like it's just an open ballad.
Right.
And so he came up with he programmed the drums and it just synced so well,
Okay.
And so, and then I sent that song off to Eric Roberson to sing on. And I was like, well, if you hear something outside of the melody, you feel free. But he's like, no, the melody is gold. I love the melody. Okay. And so I was like, okay. And he's like, I don't want to change that. So he just kept it the same. So
nice. And then who was responsible for lyrics? Did you send lyrics to singers, or did the singer write
No,
lyrics?
he came up with it. He wrote it himself. Yep.
Okay.
I'm not a good lyricist. So
Man,
I'm
that's
like,
a whole other skill. Like, yeah, I don't have
it's
that thing either. Yeah.
I don't, and that's the thing about Gregory. His pen is amazing. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, dude, how did you come up with that? That's like, wow. It's like some of the songs that he had. It's like, wow, how did you come up with that?
Right.
Like, wow. Like, dude, that's amazing.
Yeah. How did you feel given that much control over to a singer for lyrics and stuff? I mean, that's a lot. Like as a bass player, that's giving up a lot of power on your record. Because that's what people are going to know from the song is the lyrics,
right?
More than they're going to know a bass player, unless a bass player is listening to the record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. No, and see the thing is with that, like I trust certain people.
Yeah.
So it comes down to a trust thing with me. So if I know, just listening to your original music and what you've written, I trust. And if I like it, I trust you.
Okay.
And it's like, dude, like Eric Roberson, he's another guy whose pen is amazing.
Yeah.
And he just knew what to say. And he asked me what the concept was and what I wanted to talk about, wanted to portray in the song. And I explained it to him. He was like, okay, I just want to make sure I was on the right path.
Sure.
And he just laid it out. I was like, whoa, okay.
Yeah. And then how'd you come across him? How long had you been working with him prior to releasing Black Frequencies?
Eric, I worked with him years ago. Like, I think the first time us working together had to been early 2000s, like 2004.
Okay.
Yeah, I had just got home from touring, doing my first international tour with Fontella Bass. Mm-hmm. And the guy who I play with in the band here in St. Louis, band called Level Ground, he said, man, we got Eric Roberson coming into town. Are you down to play? I was like, yeah, I'm down to play. I didn't know who he was at first. And then it's like, I met him and he brought the music. I was like, wow, this is some amazing music. And the words, the lyrics were just amazing. Cause myself as a bass player, or as a musician in general, I love lyrics.
Sure. Yeah, me too.
I love lyrics. And it's like, man, a lot of times singers have asked me,
really?
What are the next words? I'm like, and I'll tell them. I can't sing myself. I just know the lyrics.
Sure.
It's because I have to know where I am in the song at all times. Because it's like, okay, if you change the words, then we must be the first verse or going into the bridge. I have to know where we are.
Yeah, no, I use them a lot for cues. Like, all right, after that line, that's when this part of the song happens.
Right. And so yeah, I like with Eric, I really loved his work. And so we worked off and on for years after that. And just hit him up out the blue. I was like, hey, man, do you mind writing something simple for me? It's a 21 bar phrase, 21 bar song. And he heard it and I said, this is what you sing. And that's it. And he was like, yeah, okay, I got you.
Nice.
And maybe like 3 days later, he sent me the track back. Like, you happy with this? Hell yeah. Thank you.
Yeah. So what are the concepts you're kicking around for the new recording? You're taking Black Frequencies, turning it into a band. What sonically is going to be the concept? Sonically,
this record, it's going to be slightly different than the last one, but not too much.
Okay.
So think of like a friend of mine in Detroit had we had just played Detroit like maybe 3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And came up to me and just told me something, and it stuck with me. And because during the shows with Gregory, I get a moment of shine, you could say. I have a bass solo to myself,
a little feature,
and so exactly, a little feature. And so, and with that solo, I just incorporate a lot of bass lines from R&B songs and rock songs, pop songs, and all these different, genres of music, and put them together. And while I'm soloing in between also, so I'm doing movements in between. And so my friend came up to me and said, man, your features sounded like a coded Negro spirituals. And I was like, huh. And then I read past another friend of mine, and I was like, man, dude.
So coded was the first word. CODED. Okay. No, because it could also be COAT. Coated.
Exactly.
Yeah. Coded.
Yeah.
Okay.
So coded. Yeah. Coded Negro spirituals. Okay. And I was like, And then I read put as another friend, and I was like, "What do you think about that?" And man, that's killing. But then also they took it a step further and said, "Well, you should have it. If that's what you're going to name your next record, you should have it coded like CODED.
Yeah.
Then ... and have Negro spirituals backwards. So and have a capital O,
Okay.
GR. Well, I can't spell it right now. Yeah. It's too early for that. But have that as the title of the record.
Okay.
Like, oh, wow. So we bounced that idea, and so it's like, okay. So
are you now like kind of digging into some of those old spirituals and kind of getting some influence from like old Mahalia Jackson, and you going all the way back and get some stuff?
Some of that stuff, yes, but then I'm also going off of I just did a documentary. I scored the music for this documentary last year that won an Emmy.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you. And it's called Invisible History, and it's about slavery through Florida.
Okay, specifically Florida?
Specifically Florida.
Okay.
And I did the music, and I just chimed into just that era and just was like, man, and listened to some of the things that were being said and done to, people of color. And it's like, man. Wow.
As a quick overview, what was happening specifically in Florida that was so much different than the rest of the South? Like, I just kind of lumped them all in. Like, I just figured Florida was being assholes too.
No. They were being assholes. At the same time, it's like, man, dude, it was like one of those first stops.
Okay.
And so the stories, like they migrated from one side of the state to another, and everywhere they went, it was just chaos, utter chaos. And it's kind of hard to explain. And it's because it's
kind of like a port, so to speak. Like they'd come in, that's where the boats would dock. And
so,
wow.
Yeah, like we just did a show in St. Augustine, Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And dude, we went to the venue. I didn't know what the venue was. We walked into a place. Oh, it was like, okay, it's cool. Then they took us outside. It was an outside gig, and dude, it was an actual plantation.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like with the trees and everything. I was like, whoa. It really touched me that I was like, wow, this is real. Wow. We have plantations here in St. Louis also, but it has a different vibe than the ones down there. Where you have the trees and you have the swamp in the background and everything. It's like, whoa, then it puts it into perspective more.
Sure. So you were pulling. I haven't lost track. We're still talking about the record, but we got off on this tangent about the documentary. And now I'm interested in when scoring the documentary. You were listening to a lot of the old spirituals.
I was not actually. I just chimed into something within me where I would do a lot of drone fifth power chord type things on the bass. But I would just do this whole little improv in between each one. So I layered parts. So I would literally listen to what they were saying in the documentary while I'm recording. So I'm recording while it's live, while it's going on. Okay. And I'm just like, okay, so it's like a time frame for 4 minutes. I need to come up with something. And I was feeding off what they were saying, and it was like, certain parts, it was so hard to do because I got emotionally.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. That's emotionally very demanding to keep that kind of stamina up all day in the studio. Yeah. And it was like, man, it got rough because I had to take a break actually a bunch of times because one scene where the guy said the slave owner he
something that happened to the slave and the slave's child, and they both ended up dying. And he said, had she been a white woman, I would have wrote a song about her. That took me, I was like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
It's deep, it's deep. Yeah.
Man, how'd you come across that project? It sounds like a cool one to be involved with.
Yeah, a friend of mine, her sister-in-law had needed someone to score it because the person who they were using before could not cut the mustard, I guess, per se.
Okay.
And so hit me up out the blue during the pandemic.
Yeah.
It just happened in late 2020. And I was like, okay, yeah. Can you do it? Yeah, sure. No problem. I can do it. When do you need it? Well, in about 3 weeks. I was like, okay. So it was only an hour, but
man,
if you've done like scoring, it's like they have different takes.
Yeah.
So they'll send you a different version.
Right.
It's like,
you get like a version of Picture Lock, and then they tweak something, and then your timing doesn't work out. So then you have to like, all right, well, here's kind of the thing I'm working with is now I got to make it fit this scene. I did one like that. A couple of years ago was solo upright for this movie score. And same thing. Like they'll send me Picture Lock. I'm like, cool, I'll work it out. Well, now we updated it. All right. Can you just hold off and like send me the one when you're finished? Yeah. Cause like they told me they needed it in like a week or something and they're still editing. Like,
yes. It's like by the time the end of the week,
but you need to come to me with one thing.
Right. And by the time you start with version 5, but then next thing you know, at the end of the week, you had version 21.
Yeah. What's the name of the documentary?
It's called Invisible History.
That's right. You mentioned that. Where's where can we see that?
On PBS now, and they're working on getting it on Amazon and Apple Music, all that stuff. So
okay. That's cool, man. Soon. That's cool.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, it sounds like a fun project. And so, okay, now taking this all the way back. So you're working on this documentary, and you gotta mentally and emotionally go there to the slave trade in Florida. Now bring this back into your record. What kind of what would you say the percentage of that influence is on your record? Like it's in you, it's in your mind, in your ears, in your soul. So it's going to be coming out. Would you say that's at the forefront of this next record, or it's just in there as part of the mix?
It'll be in a little bit of both. So it'll be more so like each song will be introduced a different way. Okay. Each song may have that maybe that droney sound, or maybe some other sound that I come up with. It just depends. And so each song, but then it's going to merge and morph into a more modern sound. Okay. And then that's where it all evolves. And then who knows from there, I may fade it out. I may just go back into after each song, or maybe kind of bookend it. You never know. Yeah. So yeah.
That's cool, man.
Yeah, man.
I'm going to be excited to hear it.
Oh yeah. I'm like itching. I'm like right now, like, yes. Okay. So I'm just getting all the songs together now. So I'm looking at maybe 12 songs.
Okay. That's a lot, man.
That's a lot.
And then we're still working with the same producer on this one?
No. I'm working. I'm trying to figure that out now.
Okay.
So yeah. So I'm just going to help with that concept and everything. So that I'm hearing in my head.
Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Cool, man. Well, definitely keep me posted on when it comes out. We'll have you back on. I want to hear it, and I want you to talk about it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
I got you.
Kill it, dude. Thanks for taking the time, Jahmal.
No problem, man. Thank you. I appreciate you.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. We'll be in touch.
All right, cool.
All right, thanks, man.
I know you're gonna edit and stuff. When are you gonna
this one?
Let me know when you.
Yeah, this one comes out next Wednesday.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah. On the Instagram page on
it'll be on so the podcast comes out on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Google Play, Amazon. Like all the podcasts. I'll send you a link before I post it. I'll email you a link with my main graphic title card. And if you have any links you want me to specifically, like I came across your website. If you have any additional links, Spotify page, YouTube channel, whichever ones are most important to you, shoot me an email with, and I'll make sure to include those, because sometimes people just want the traffic going to their website. Other people want it going, somewhere else.
Social media. Yeah, I got you. Okay, cool. Appreciate
whatever ones are interesting, are your priority. I'm down with.
It'll probably be just the website and probably Instagram and maybe like Apple Music.
Okay, cool, man. Yeah,
right.
Dude. Definitely keep me in touch when that new record comes out. I'm interested.
I definitely will, man. Thank you, man.
Thank you, sir. We'll talk soon, man.
All right, bro.
All right, peace. All right. I kind of I wish sometimes like I could do the 80s rock yell, like, all right. Just do that kind of thing. And like, that's how I would come on this last segment of the podcast. It's just like the big 80s rocker yell. Well, all right. Yeah. That was my talk with Jahmal. Oh man, I need an 80 rocker, like, sidekick guy, like an Andy Richter type, but that can just do the 80s rock yells just for that, just to yell, well, all right at the end. Well, all right. That kind of sounds like Will Ferrell doing Harry Carey. That's my 80s rocker guy. That was my talk with Jahmal. What a sweetheart of a human. Check out his record, Black Frequencies. I will be posting links to that record. They're available at thebasshed.com /podcast /Jahmal Nichols. I tweeted out a link to the documentary. I think that was last week when Jahmal and I recorded this episode. I went and found that and then tweeted it out. I will be putting that on the you can find that at the same place, Basshed /podcast /Jahmal Nichols. I'll have a link to the documentary up there. I'm excited to check that out. That's all I got for this one, folks, and I will catch you on the next one in a minute.